Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode on a mother's journey to holistic health and healing. We are in episode 53. This is Marissa Prieto, and for those of you who are new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you found this podcast as we try my best to offer whatever medicine we can in the form of our stories, our storytelling, through all the healing that we're doing, that we're learning from, that we're growing from, that we're working through. Not just my own personal healing journey, but as well as all the beautiful, amazing, and empowering, inspiring guests that we have on the show. So I'm so happy you're here. Welcome. I had planned this particular episode to be kind of a bit of a venting, actually, to be honest, about just all of what's happening right now in the world and the systems that we have been brought up in. But there has been a shift and change in that. As of yesterday, I was just kind of laying in bed at night, and my son was asleep, so we co-sleep. My son's laying next to me, my girl's already asleep, my husband's asleep on the other bed and next to us, and I just kind of was just feeling an immense, blanket and of love and gratitude, and how just this energy that I was just feeling, totally different from how I was feeling the week before when I was planning to have a different conversation, a different episode. So it just had a big shift in my energy. And so I felt like, that doesn't align right now. And I'm not in that space. I'm not in that energy right now. And so this felt more appropriate. And so what I really wanted to share, as I was reflecting yesterday, I was like, just kind of the words that came to my mind was practicing presence. And so it's kind of what this episode's going to be about, but also how can we practice presence more in our everyday life, and especially when it comes to our family, our children. And this is how it all came to this idea, right? Is because this podcast episode today is, our children grow so fast, right? From one day to the next, through months, over a year. I mean, my son's going to be 8 on Saturday, and I look back at some pictures, some videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a big difference in his growth span in just 1 year. And my daughters will be 3 in March. And so it really takes you down like that memory lane and thinking about your pregnancy with your baby, maybe even the birth, and, you're scrolling through your phone, seeing all those memories of, exactly a year from now, or exactly 5 years ago, or 8 years ago, or whatever, right? So you're seeing like all these pictures of different stages in their life. And of course, it's going to bring, a variety of different emotions. I always get teary-eyed, I always get emotional, and then there are just moments in the day when I'm just, he's sitting down on the kitchen table working on his homework or drawing, and I'm just cutting up some veggies or prepping up dinner or something, and I just love to glance at him. I'm gonna get emotional when he's so focused, and he looks so big sometimes. I'm like, he looks like he's 10 or 12, like when I just see him in certain angles. And, I just kind of wanted to share, like, right, it's okay for us to feel all those emotions and to get emotional and to cry and to, it's a part of seeing them grow and letting go to what we don't have control over, right? We don't have control over their growth. And I believe it was earlier this week. I put a few things up on the OfferUp app for sale. One of them was his infant car seat with all the bases in really good condition. And, what do you know? Someone messaged me and they wanted to pick it up. And so that day it was like a goodbye. And then I even told my son, and he saw me teary-eyed. Oh, what's wrong, Mom? And so I just have to tell him, son, it's just, seeing you grow is a beautiful thing, but it's also emotional. And I'm so happy that you're healthy, and I'm so happy, just who you are. You make me so proud. And just kind of telling him, everything how I was feeling, basically. And if you listen to the last couple weeks episode, we talked about emotional regulation and how how it's really important for us to share with our children also what we're feeling and not to hide it. So I didn't hide my tears, I just kind of talked to him about how I was feeling. And he gives me a hug. And so when I talk about practicing presence, right, it's like, this is such a profound and powerful, simple way of being that we can cultivate in our everyday life, yet put my phone on silent. Yeah, it's such a powerful and profound state of being because it allows us to come into a moment of stillness, of connection, of awareness that is very sacred and meaningful. And this is what lights our energy bodies, and our heart, and our spirit, and our mind clears, and our nervous system relaxes. We feel safe, and our heart opens, and all the physical things like that happen when we cuddle with our babies, for example. But right, it's like the way that our world is today, the systems that are in place, the society, the way that it's been created today, this reality, this fast-paced world has really been a massive barrier, a massive distraction from us being able to embody and experience it on a daily basis. And so what do I mean by that? Right? It's like, okay, you have, whether you have a busy morning right away, maybe you don't have support to help you get your kids ready and they're still young. You got to get them ready, get them out the door, prepare all their foods, get their breakfast ready, etc., or lunch, or whatever you need to do. Drive them to school or pick them up or go to your work, or if you work from home, or if you're just at home, you're home taking care of your children, your little ones, or homeschooling. If you're homeschooling, that'd be awesome because maybe that gives you more time too. That's amazing for you to practice presence, right? If you're homeschooling your children, that's amazing. I hope to do that one day, later in the future. But it's like, you have some people work really long working hours, and then when they're done with their work hours, they pick up their kids, they take them to after school extracurricular activities, they come home, they cook dinner, they eat, they maybe do a few things before homework, before they go to bed, and then before you know it, the day is done. And it's a repeat until you reach your weekend, right? And so sometimes we're just always so busy with having lots of activities or their kids' activities that we don't really actually get to enjoy slowing down time connection with with our children. And so that's what I mean by some of the systems and how our society is built. Is like we're always on the go, right? And that puts a big roadblock, a big barrier on our mental state when we're feeling like we have so many things to accomplish and do, on our nervous system when we feel like we have to do all those things and maybe we don't have the support to do them. And, the physical part, right? You have the hormones, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling overwhelmed, whatever it is. All of these things can really create us from that disconnect from creating presence with our loved ones. And so that's kind of basically what I wanted to share today, is kind of like how a holistic approach, how cultivating a practice of practicing presence is really a powerful, holistic way of being and what it does for us. And so I'm just going to kind of run through a few of these points, but it's just one of those things that sometimes as a mom, we have this massive mental load, right? And then this to-do list. And so holding it all together, right? And so sometimes feeling, present, feeling physically and mentally, emotionally present with our children can be really difficult. So I just want to acknowledge that and normalize it, that's how our society has created these barriers in order for us to experience that. But I want to share that a really important part is that by practicing presence, it's really truly an act of resistance against the systems. It's saying a big F you, you're not going to take this away from me. My time to be present with my children, whether it's our phones and social media or the TV or the news or anything like that, right? Those are just things that's not preventing us. That's preventing us from being present. And so, when we're in that constant go mode, we have our nervous system in fight or flight. We might feel kind of snappy when our kids are like trying to talk to us or feeling frustrated about certain things. Or we might feel like I know this has happened to me. I've felt like the mom guilt come up at certain times where I'm like on the phone trying to read an article about something, and then my kids are like trying to get my attention, my girls, and just reflecting on how all these ways that we have these barriers, these things now, these devices that really are a distraction to practicing presence. So let's get into that, right? Like, what does practicing presence actually mean? And what could that mean to you? Because maybe this is going to be different for all of us. Or maybe you're just new to kind of, thinking about it, right? Thinking about what it could mean. And just kind of want to put it out there that it's not about practicing presence like perfectly, right? It's nowhere near talking about doing it all perfectly, or like we're having to play with our kids 24/7, right? Or never feeling overwhelmed. One of the things that I'm starting to really learn right now, especially with my girls and as they're getting a bit older, is creating boundaries. And so for me, presence is like, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling frustrated about something, or I'm tired and I need a break before I go get them what they want, like whether it's a snack or a meal or whatever it is. I take some conscious breaths. I sit down, I take some conscious breaths, and I look at them and I let them know. I try to get their attention by looking at me, and I let them know, okay, mom's feeling really tired right now. I'm feeling I need a little break. Please give me a few minutes and be patient while I get a few minutes to get a quick rest, and then I'll get you XYZ, whatever they wanted me to get, right? Or it could be like putting down the phone for a few minutes while your child is trying to get your attention, right? And letting them know that you're interested and that you're listening. So it doesn't have to be like, that's the thing that I'm learning is like, we don't have to, I'm coming from that perfectionist background and ways of thinking. That's also coming to my awareness is how is that showing up in my motherhood and in parenting. And it's giving ourselves that compassion that it's not going to be perfect and that we're going to do the best that we can, right? So think about for you, what is practicing presence? Is it even just like I mentioned, like the example I gave earlier where maybe you're reading a book or maybe you're sitting them, watching them play and you're just watching and observing them. And you're just kind of like sitting in that moment of like noticing how their faces are changing, how their voices are changing, how they're interacting with one another, or the things that they're doing, how they're doing things differently, how they're changing, how they're growing, how they're talking. There's just so many things that we can notice when we're being present, when we're practicing presence. And I see that a lot in his language and how he talks. And it brings joy to my heart, right? And so that's also what practicing presence does, is it brings joy to our hearts. And our hearts need the joy right now, especially in these times. So yeah, what does practicing benefits do to our mental health, right? Mentally. Let's say you have a cup of tea or your favorite drink or your coffee or anything like that. And you're sitting down and you're watching out through the window or you're watching your kids or anything, like just an example, right? And you're really just kind of soaking in the aroma or the tastes or flavors. This could be maybe a family meal. And, when you're putting your focus on something like that, specifically your senses, basically, you're using your senses to bring your focus to what's in front of you in that present moment. Or it could be something simple as sitting outside and closing down your eyes, connecting with the breath. Notice if there's a breeze. How does it feel on your skin and into your hair? Is the sun out? How do you notice if you feel the warmth on your skin? What does that feel like? And how does that make you feel emotionally? Those are all ways of medicine, that holistic medicine, sacred medicine that warms our spirit and our heart, our mind, can calm our mind, our nervous system, right? And it helps like create this clarity and regulates our emotions too at the same time. So, it can really help with managing the chaos when we can take a deep breath and just kind of come into a moment of stillness. And it can sometimes help bring things to make it feel more manageable, basically. So that's for kind of like our mental state. But what about for the nervous system, right? And our physical. So we know that when we're in flight or we're on go mode, or we're like, sometimes when I get home, it's like, it's on the days my son has practice, I know we got to get home. I got to make him a quick snack. I got to maybe get dinner prepped if I haven't already, if I don't have it in the crock pot, and get myself a snack, get the girls ready if they're coming to practice, all back to back to back before he goes to practice. We have about an hour within that time frame. And so it's like, well, we put ourselves in those positions, right? But it's like, okay, what can I do to practice a bit of presence, or how can I slow down? And when I'm doing these things, is it on the way on the drive where I can just, take some deep breaths while I'm driving, or at the stoplight, right? Anything that you can do to bring safety to your body, to help lower those stress hormones, right? Slow your heart rate with your breathing, helps us to really respond instead of react, right? And this pattern, this practice helps you build this resilience over time. And so when we regulate ourselves, we can co-regulate our children. So like if our children are screaming and yelling, like my son, when he's upset and he wants me to know he's upset, he yells. And I tell him in a calmer voice, like, why are you yelling right now? You don't have to yell. You can talk to me in a calm voice. And he'll shift his tone right away. Oh, it's because I just want you to know that I wanted to do this, and this is important, and I wanted to do this, and you said we would do this. And they learned from us as well, and said, I could have just yelled back at him, why are you yelling at me? Don't be yelling at me. But no, it's taking those deep breaths. Do you see me yelling at you right now? Can we have a normal conversation? Right? And of course, age appropriate how you talk to your children. So it really has this profound impact on our whole well-being. And emotionally, right? If we think about, there's so many emotional benefits to it healing our hearts when we're practicing presence. Like I already mentioned, the warmth and love and joy and gratitude that it brings to our heart. This creates that sense of connection, which I feel is a big thing we all feel like we're missing and that we're lacking, even with our partners, or with our children, or our parents, or whomever. It's like even just a thank you and a moment of presence to thank, I don't know, maybe your mom did something really special for you and you gave her a really, nice hug, and thank you, Mom, for doing this, or thank you, Dad, or thank you, sister, or whatever. It helps us kind of minimize that like bringing down the mom guilt noise from our brain, because our brain's always coming up with all kinds of mom guilt thoughts. I know it does for me. And so practicing the presence helps to minimize that also, which makes us feel better about ourselves, and we don't put all this guilt and blame and shame. And it increases compassion also for ourselves as well. So, our children really notice and they feel also your energy. They're so intuitive. They sense how you are feeling, and they know it as well. They can sense that. So emotionally, let's say, for example, you're watching your children, I don't know, maybe they have a performance, right? Like in their school, or a sport, or a music performance, and you're just sitting there watching them in awe. You're being present, right? You're not looking at your phone. Hopefully not. You can put it down and turn it off. You are being present with just paying attention to them, and think about how that feels in your body, in your heart. And that's how we can bring more of that into our everyday, thinking about how can I do that in my everyday with those small moments, right? How can I bring more of that joy, of that love and gratitude, appreciation, and sense of awe into my day with my children? Just being present, reading them a story together, curled up, cuddling, right? Those are such beautiful moments, and heart just opens a heart so nicely. And then lastly, we can't forget about our spiritually, like how does being present help us spiritually? Kind of like going back to what I just said right now, is that it creates that connection. One of the biggest practices for me the past 2 years that I have been doing regularly that has really created a lot of connection for me is connecting with the sun. And it's either with the morning sun or the afternoon sun, whenever I can get it. Just sitting outside and feeling the sun, the warmth of the sun bathe me. And this is my time that I pray and I thank the sun, and I thank basically everything that I'm thankful for at that moment. And I sing, and I have a song that I sing for the sun, for the earth, and for the elements. So for me, it creates a lot of gratitude, joy, peace, calm, and love. And if I'm not able to go outside, I just sit in front of the window as well and let that warmth hit me. So that's kind of like an example of how it creates connection, right? Maybe it's with your partner. Maybe it's like a time of lovemaking that you're really slowing down and you're connected with your breath and you're tuning in with your senses, right? I feel like when we tune in with our senses, the touch, the smell, the taste, the seeing, hearing our sounds, helps us create an even deeper sense of connection. And this is where it lights us up in our spirit, in our hearts, and our overall sense of well-being, right? It allows us to just be, and kind of just really anchors us in the moment to feel grounded, right? So yeah, when I slow down enough to like really see my children and look at them and look into their eyes, I just want to gaze in their eyes sometimes and just stare at them. They're like, "You're a weird mom." It's because I want to remember that moment. And sometimes when there's a particular moment that I really, really want to try to remember, and I don't bring my phone out and take a picture or a video or anything like that, I tune into my senses. I close down my eyes. I take a deep breath. I try to smell anything in the air. I try to notice if I hear anything, because smells and hearing is very powerful for our memory, right? So if you're hearing a certain song, if you're playing a certain song when you're doing something, you're going to remember that song reminds you of that certain moment. Or if it was a certain meal that you prepared, or something like a drink, whatever, or a perfume or a cream or a something, right? A certain smell is going to remind you of a certain moment too. So that's why also these senses are so important, that bringing them into our presence is they help us remember in this way without having to rely fully on our phones or devices, right? They stay in our hearts and our body. And so that's one of the things that I try to do when I'm really like in a moment that I just want to hold on to. I wish I could just push pause. Is I do those things. I hold them, I smell, I listen, and I just try to stay in that moment for as long as I can. Yeah. But I hope that brought some awareness and just some food for thought. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And I just want to remind you, we live in a fast-paced, productivity obsessed world right now. We're overstimulated. We have a lot on our plate. A lot of us are under supported and we're exhausted. It doesn't make you a bad mom or distracted, or you could have all those thoughts of like, I don't know how to be present, or I can't be present, or anything like that. You can. It's the systems that have been in place that have taught us that we can't, and they've made you believe that you can't, or that it's hard to do. And the next part of the healing journey is learning how to create that resilience, that resistance to saying a big F you. I'm going to reclaim back my presence, practicing presence. And this is what lights me up. This is part of my journey in earth and being here in this life. And I'm going to do what I can to start being more present. Right? So yeah, that's one of the big ones that really gets me, which will be another episode soon coming up on all of that. So yeah, I just want to share, if you feel depleted, overwhelmed, or overstimulated, you're not alone. You're just living in a culture that is like really built for not protecting us as mothers. We've failed. The systems have failed the moms, and we don't want to fail our children. And that's why we need to put these practices into place so we can teach our children differently and create this change, this generational change. So here are a couple practical ways just to kind of highlight how to practice presence. Practice maybe 3 to 4 deep breaths before picking up your kids from school, or stepping in the house after work before you get into your home. Right? Just taking a deep few breaths. Take one with me. Let's do that right now, in fact. Taking a deep breath in through your nose for 4. Hold it. And slowly release. Sighing it out. Let's do one more time. Letting everything just float away. That feels much better. Maybe another practice would be to kind of like put your device away for, I don't know, if there's like a particular time of the day where you notice that you tend to grab your phone, maybe you leave it in a different room for that specific time, like if it's a reading time or meal time or anything like that. Maybe you put your phone down and away so that way you don't have, you leave those distractions out of sight, out of mind. Or maybe you set like a specific timer, or not like a timer, but you're like, okay, I'm going to give my kids 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you have of undistracted one-on-one time. Right? And that can be really helpful for a lot of us moms when we like routines, when we like schedules. You know, you think about what their bedtime routine is like. And sometimes that's a really great way to do that. Like, okay, 10 minutes for bedtime, story time. That's my one-on-one time, for example. I mentioned this earlier. Noticing one thing about your child that you hadn't really noticed before. Right? And sometimes even just kind of connecting with our body, like while they're talking, to kind of remind yourself to be present, like to bring yourself to their attention, either making eye contact with them, that you're listening, or maybe putting your hand on your heart or holding their hand or anything like that. Touch can help bring those senses and bring us into the present moment as well. Yeah. So these really tiny rituals, these small little practices really make a big difference. And I promise you'll definitely feel it. Yeah. So just kind of to close, and as I reflect back on my son, and his birthday is going to be turning 8 tomorrow, and I reflect back on all the beautiful memories we've created, how much he's grown and how much he's changed, and how I'm so proud of him. At the same time, right, that's how motherhood is so interesting. Is like we can't wait to see what they're going to do, you know, how they're going to change, how they're going to grow, what are they going to get into. But on the other hand, we want to keep them small at a certain age forever, for as long as we can. Yeah. Our children are growing whether we're present or not. But when we practice presence, we get to grow with them. So I'm going to leave it with that. My friends, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I hope you got a few takeaways from it. How are you going to practice presence today? And please do me a favor, share the podcast with someone who could benefit from it, one of your friends, family members, another mama who could use it. Leave a review. I would really, really appreciate it to help the podcast grow and reach other mamas. And subscribe if you haven't already. And also, if you are new into meditation and you're getting into meditation, check out my YouTube channel at Mindful Meditations with Marissa. And if you're interested in sharing your healing journey, send me an email, link below in the show notes, or you can reach me on Instagram. I'd love to connect with you and hear all about your healing journey. Thank you so much, my friends. Have a beautiful weekend and take good care.